have this. This was sent to us. I asked Mark Cuban. He's been fined so many times by the NBA, and I said, "Could you send me one of the letters you get?" And it's got his name, delivered by FedEx, October 8th of 2004. He had said something about training camp rules, and they said, "You are hereby fined $100,000. Please remit this sum to the NBA no later than Friday, October 22nd, 2004. Please be advised that further conduct of this kind will subject you to additional penalties." Been fined a few times. Mark Cuban, the Mavs owner, he's going to be on Home Economics tonight. That's at 9:30 Eastern on ABC. I was just mentioning, Mark, you've been fined so many times, and you made some comments on Dr. J's podcast about tanking. What was the last time you got fined? What was that for?
The one you got there was really well deserved, because I got fined because I said it was crazy that we couldn't have played potential draftees 5-on-5. We could only play them 3-on-3, and that made absolutely no sense.
But do you have to write them a check and then you send it to the home office?
No, I refuse to do that. They deduct it from something else.
Okay, my goal is for you not to get fined today. How's that?
My goal is not to be fined as well.
Do you remember the first time you saw Luka play?
Yeah. I watched a video of him playing against the Thunder and Russell Westbrook when he was 17.
Okay, and then what happens right after that?
The kid, it was obvious the kid could play. And so then it was a question of, okay, will we be able to draft him? Where will our draft slot be? And we had the third worst record and ended up with the 5th pick. The Mavs have never moved up from our slot ever in the history of the franchise. And then from there, it was, how are we going to figure this out? Because we really want the kid.
Okay, but how do you send out mixed signals or mixed messages not to tip your hand that you're in love with Luka?
You don't. I mean, it's inevitable. It's really about what do the teams ahead of us in the draft want to do. So it was number 1, DeAndre Ayton. Number 2, we didn't know what the Sacramento Kings were going to do. And we thought that it was number 3, the Hawks, and then number 4, the Grizzlies. And so we felt like if the Hawks didn't pick him, the Grizzlies would, and there was no way he was making it down to 5. So we had to trade up somehow, some way. And literally it ended up with me on the phone with the owner of the Hawks like 15 minutes before our pick was getting done. They had to make their pick at 3, working out a trade together.
It's just amazing that when I watched him when he was playing in Europe, he always seemed like he was just fast enough, just quick enough, just able to get his shot off. And I thought if he's just able to do that playing against those players, I had doubts that he could be a guy who dominates like he has been. What is it about? He moves at his own pace. It's like Kawhi Leonard. They have a different speed, and it's different than everybody else's.
Yeah, and Kawhi's a good analogy because Kawhi's got size, obviously, and he's strong. And, Kawhi's got the hands and the length and everything, but they're able to see the game at their own speed and use their physicality to get where they want to go on the court. And the other thing that Luka adds to that is his ball handling. When somebody's got the handles that Luka has and the size, not only can you see things and make passes and, play the 5-level chess that he plays on the court, but you can get to places on the court at your own speed because of the handles and the physicality. People don't realize how big he is until you stand next to him. If you put him up against the biggest NFL linebackers, Luka's going to be bigger.
If you start to look at this, and he's had an unbelievable season. Second half of the season's been unbelievable. If not him for MVP, who would you vote for?
There's probably a group of 3 with Jokic, Embiid, maybe Book. Those would probably be my top 3. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out off the top of my head, but obviously I'd put Luka right there with them.
Okay, but who would you pick instead?
Yeah, if I had to, I'd probably say Jokic, just because he lost 2 prime players and he's basically carried that team.
He's Mark Cuban, the Mavs owner, joining us. I don't know how often you get advice or give advice to billionaires who think about buying a franchise. When's the last time a billionaire called and said, "I'm thinking about"?
I don't qualify their net worth before I talk to them, but I get calls every now and then from people who are in a position to buy franchises.
Okay. But if you were going to give advice, what would you tell somebody who had a lot of money?
Be the majority owner, not the minority owner. That's the key because then it's your franchise. If you're a minority owner or you've got too big a group, then it just becomes just a regular company. It's not your baby. There's just a big difference.
Do you have to love the team you're buying?
Depends on who you are. I mean, me, yes, but if it's a business deal, no. If you're looking at this purely as a business acquisition, no, you don't have to love it. You can run it to win it still. You can love basketball, but there's going to be people who prioritize business over passion.
But also, you were buying the Mavs, and you're not from Dallas.
No,
So,
but I've been in Dallas since 1982.
okay.
And when I bought in 2000, I was a season ticket holder and been there 20 years and had been going to every game for years.
You think you'll ever buy another team?
No, no chance. Yeah. Yeah, it's such an emotional commitment. When I first got into the Mavs, I was looking at a baseball team and considered it. And then as my kids got older, they were too much fun, and I realized the emotional commitment. I kind of was yeah, I was spoiled because of Dirk. It seemed kind of easy because I had Dirk there and we were winning 50 plus games every year and competing. And, you realize over a period of time that it's just such an emotional commitment that it's hard. I couldn't imagine, having had purchased a baseball team and doing this for another 162 games.
If Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, came on Shark Tank
Uh-huh.
and wanted you to invest in that product, not a team,
Uh-huh.
the sport itself, what would you say?
I would say with some changes, I would. I think baseball is well suited for the TikTok generation because it comes in small bites, and using a TikTok like AI driven approach, you could create an application where, you could be living in Dallas and be a Rangers fan, but if a Hunt came up or your favorite player came up, you could just, you'd have an app where you'd be swiping in, those plate appearances or those pitches, or anytime someone was, in a close game. There's so many ways that baseball could use technology to present the game that they don't. And then I would also push to speed the game up, like no throwing the ball around the horn. I would go away from some of the traditions. I would make the players do bat flips, engage them on the bat flip. Things that, might get the ball thrown at you, but you'd have to talk to the players first to say, look, if we want to change this game and get kids excited again, we're going to have to make changes. And the stuff that they did, putting a runner on second base, 7 inning double headers, to me, that was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I just don't know the direction baseball's going in. It feels like every other sport has figured it out, or at least they're moving and the escalator's going up.
Right.
I don't know where baseball's going. It feels like it's either stopped or it's heading down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it's tough for them because it's an older fan base. It's not really built for prime time for traditional social media, if there is such a thing, right? The highlights aren't as compelling. They're not as athletic as say the NFL or the NBA, and so that kind of plays against them. So you've got to adjust. But like I said, they're better suited to a TikTok-like presentation in parallel with linear presentations of the game, right? So you can, for those who love baseball and want to watch all 9 innings, you do your traditional linear presentation. But you could have a $3 a month or a $5 a month feed that's kind of like red zone for Major League Baseball. That's geared towards, algorithmically driven presentation of your favorite players and teams and circumstances. And I think that type of thing is better suited for baseball, but will happen in all sports.
Okay, it seems obvious to you. Why isn't that obvious to baseball?
That's a mystery I've never been able to solve.
What does it say about basketball that the best players in the game, or amongst the best players in the game, are from Europe, or they're not American born? What it used to be, that was sort of a negative. You were soft, you were sort of one dimensional. But now we look at it, and I don't know if it was Dirk or Akeem Olajuwon who started this, but how do you make sense of that?
Well, there's a lot more people in the rest of the world than there are in the United States, and basketball, to David Stern's credit, has become a global game. When you've got, tens of millions of basketball players globally, the percentage is going to be lower than it is in the United States, but at the same time, the stars are the ones that come through and come over and play here.
Home economics. You made your debut with ABC. Fill us in on your cameo.
Yeah, it was fun. It turned out it ended up being more than just a cameo. I got to hang out with all the guys, and it really was a fun episode. So it's tonight on ABC. Check it out. My acting chops are stellar, and it really is a fun episode.
What's on the T-shirt that you have?
Oh, this is my crypto Dirk, my Meta Mavs legend. Every home game, the Mavs give out an NFT to everybody who comes and scans their ticket before the end of the first quarter, and it's become a big collectible. And so you go to mavscollectibles.com, log in, and you get your free NFT. And this is my Dirk NFT T-shirt that we sold.
How much have you spent for an NFT?
The most I've spent for an NFT is, I think, $1,000. But
Oh,
I've got a really good collection. If you go to lazy.com/mcuban, you can see all my NFTs. But I love NFTs. Now, am I chasing prices? No. It's just like I'm not an art collector that's going to chase prices of great art. Beauty's definitely in the eye of the beholder for art and for NFTs. But it's cool. It's fun. It's a lot easier than collecting baseball or trading cards or basketball cards. You don't have to worry about storing them. You don't have to worry about them getting bent. You don't have to worry about your kids or your dog eating them. It's just a fun way to collect them and present them.
good to talk to you as always, Mark. Thank you. Good luck in the playoffs.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Go Mavs.
Mavs owner Mark Cuban. Some interesting things there.